Okay, the government's tone has shifted, I agree, and I agree that there has been revelations from papers like the New York Times, but isn't there the risk, can I put this to you, isn't there the risk that this is still just very much a marginal area of interest for a fairly small number of people, ourselves included? Isn't there a risk that if there isn't momentum, for example in the midterm elections, with this becoming an election issue, if there's not major revelations, smoking gun videos, it's all going to die and disappear for another 50 years? Or do you think that your generation is not going to let this go?
Well, I'll say this. I'll say, look, if you look at the Nimitz event, if you look at the USS Roosevelt event, with the Nimitz event, they started seeing these things, as far as I recollect, when they started upgrading the radar. With the USS Roosevelt event, they started seeing these things when they upgraded the radar. So I think we're in an environment now where the technology is just getting way, way better. And so, even the military industrial complex that doesn't seem very interested at all in being transparent about this topic, their technology, their ability to track things in our atmosphere and our oceans is getting better and better. The military knows that. The United States Congress knows that. It's just common sense. So my perspective is, even if we don't get the smoking gun anytime soon, we are on an inevitable trajectory where this stuff is just going to come to light. It's inevitable because it's real and it's in our atmosphere. And of course, I always caveat this. I could be wrong, but this is my analysis. And so I think the national security apparatus is playing a really dangerous game, because if they keep trying to kick the can down the field and try to delay this as much as possible, what is the inevitable outcome of that? It's an erosion in trust in government. They know this is going to come out. They're smarter than I am. I know it's going to come out. They know it's going to come out 10 times more. And yet they're still playing this game of obfuscation, delay, trying to downplay the topic. Inevitably, the whole world is going to realize how incredibly important this topic is. And it's going to be crystal clear what the U.S. government did with all their propaganda and all their efforts and all their stonewalling and all their delaying. And it's just going to erode trust. So is that the patriotic thing for the U.S. government to do? Is that the patriotic thing for the national security apparatus to do? I don't think so. And I take offense to it.
Where was my damn UFO report that was due on October 31st? The opening clip of this video comes from Bryce, Zabel, and Ross Coulthart's podcast, Need to Know. It was episode 24. I had the honor of being a part of that episode. And if you'd like to check it out, it's the first link right under the description below. Building off the opening clip that I shared, in which I ranted, and by the way, I've been developing a reputation of ranting about UAP. James Iandoli of Engaging the Phenomena said, I'm the best in the field at it. I'm not sure if I should be proud of that or embarrassed. But anyways, building off that opening rant, I don't want to watch the world burn. I don't want to watch civilization to lose its trust in governing bodies because of their intransigence on the UAP issue. That's not my thing. I want, particularly because it's the country that I live in, the United States government, to come clean on what they know about UAP. And we weren't even given the UFO report on October 31st. We're obviously going to get it, but it's not really a good sign, potentially. So I've always feared that the phenomena itself has placed world governments in this position intentionally. There is, it could be argued, some kind of fine-tuning that is unfolding between the relationship of the phenomena and humankind, where it allows itself to be seen and documented, recorded, confirmed in various degrees, but there is no smoking gun evidence in the public domain. Now, many people will argue that that is just happenstance, and it could be, but my fear is this is manipulation, and that this was intended by the phenomena itself using highly advanced artificial intelligence and whatever other kind of weird technologies they may have at their possession to create this scenario where on one level it's pretty obvious it's here based upon highly corroborated UFO events over the decades and witness testimony and clear patterns emerging. On the other hand, with a dearth of photographic and video evidence, it's also easy to believe it's not here and that it's just people misidentifying over and over again. I smell manipulation. And I feel that there's two options on the table right now in my analysis. Governments can disclose and be transparent about the forensic evidence they've acquired over the decades, which may very well include artifacts from downed UAP. Or they can roll that dice and allow the phenomena to disclose, which in my opinion is a very bad situation. Because now it's going to paint governments in the worst possible light. People are going to be like, you had to wait for a sighting of this caliber before you were willing to tell the truth? You wouldn't tell the truth and be transparent because that was the right thing to do? That equation doesn't bode well, in my opinion. Misleading the public on UAP has been the soup du jour day after day for decades now. And it's what alarms me because I don't want that to be how we move forward as we make the progress we've had over the past 5 years. Now, Christopher Mellon had this to say about a recent article that came out on NBCnews.com. He wrote, one of the most balanced and thoughtful recent articles regarding the UAP issue. The article is by Rizwan Virk, titled Government UFO Report, Time for Halloween Seems to Downplay Spooky Sightings. It wouldn't be the first time officials put the issue to rest without a full, open-minded investigation. Unfortunately, there is precedent for the Defense Department, scientists, and the media playing down reports of UFOs rather than prioritizing truly open scientific inquiry. In the 1950s and 1960s, the Air Force established a UFO task force named Project Blue Book and commissioned an independent scientific study of the phenomena. Led by Colorado University professor Edward Condon, the final report of the study published in 1969 concluded that UFOs warranted no further study. The headlines it generated were used as justification to shut down Project Blue Book later that year. But Northwestern University professor J. Allen Hynek, a key consultant on Project Blue Book, came forward to say that much of the work of the project was to debunk UFO reports rather than understand them. Hynek attacked the Condon report, saying that its findings were, quote-unquote, singularly slanted because it only looked at easy-to-explain cases. Moreover, more than a third of the cases remained legitimately unexplained. The accusation of cherry-picking data was repeated by others, including renowned atmospheric scientist James McDonald, who accused the committee of mostly being a whitewash, continuing a disinformation process started by the CIA in the 1950s to convince the public and scientists that UFOs were nonsense. McDonald also pointed to a memo leaked from the project administrator that assured his colleagues that the conclusion was predetermined. Disclosure by human decision versus disclosure by the phenomena. I'm rooting for the former. Now, what does disclosure have to entail? Well, I guess that's debatable, and there will be a lot of discussion about that. But there are at least two components that I think are required. Number one, admit within reason to your extent of knowledge that the phenomena exists and is not stemming from human intelligence. Number two, admit to at least some of the alleged legacy UAP programs that have been in operation for decades and how much taxpayer dollars have been funneled into those efforts. Now, I am absolutely fascinated by the proposition of legacy UFO programs. If I was a betting man, I would bet that they certainly exist and that at least hundreds of millions of dollars have been poured into them over the decades, maybe even billions. But there is a quote that I want to take from
James Fox's movie, The Phenomenon. I interviewed him recently, and I was going to ask him about this, but I forgot. Here's the quote. The narrator states, Hynek entrusting Vallée, that's Jacques Vallée, to index the reams of Blue Book files scattered throughout Hynek's home. It was there that Vallée made a chance discovery of a letter so secret he had to appeal to the chief counsel of the Senate Defense Appropriations Committee to get it declassified. Vallée states, that document changed my life. It taught me that the subject had been taken much more seriously than anybody thought. The narrator continues. The document revealed an ultra-secret, highly funded scientific investigation working parallel to Blue Book, unknown to all but a select few. The letter was signed by H.C. Cross, Director of Exotic Metallurgy of Battelle National Laboratories. Vallée states, these were the people who had analyzed the facts with a large budget, with highly competent physicists and computer scientists. Who are these people? What information did they have? Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is where it gets real interesting. In October of 2020, Lue Elizondo dropped some fascinating tweets confirming that the content within the movie The Phenomenon is accurate, based upon, as I understand it, but we'll see the tweets, classified information he has seen. So perhaps Lue knows all about the parallel effort to Blue Book that was highly funded and classified from the American people. This would constitute a legacy UAP program that, for all we know, continues to this day. How many legacy programs are there? Elizondo states, folks, I am normally silent and careful not to endorse products, even if I support them. However, I am making an exception in this case. Although not part of the production, the movie by James Fox, Phenomenon, is the one worth watching. It says things I can't. It's accurate. It's verified and it's real. I know this because while at the Pentagon, we had the files. Yes, many of you will already know some of the information, but not all of it. Literally thousands of files have yet to be released that only bolster this production. Once they are, you will realize just how on the mark this movie is. Knowing now what it takes to make a quality production, I am amazed by the access that was gained by the producers and the director. Something tells me this is only the beginning. Bravo, Mr. Fox and Dan. So, regarding what's going on with the UFO report, this is what I've gathered based on rumors swirling. Take it with a grain of salt. Though I'm sure we'll get more details later. First of all, congressional members were pissed at the Julian Barnes piece titled, Many military UFO reports are just foreign spying or airborne trash. Forget space aliens or hypersonic technology. Classified assessments show that many episodes have ordinary explanations. Further, the Congress did not ascertain that the report that they were given fulfilled their intent. So they demanded a rewrite of it, which has caused the delay. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. This is an unfolding story, ladies and gentlemen. Word on the street is we will get the report within the coming week sometime. To end this video, I want to cover two, let's call them teases about what may be to come. We can consider this the dessert of the video, if you will. This is from an interview that I conducted on November 3rd with James Fox. And he talks about what might be happening within the next month, month and a half.
I think there's going to be some statements. I was told by the end of October. Now I was told that it was postponed slightly, maybe by a month and a half. But there are some statements coming that apparently will add credence to my film, this alleged crash retrieval from 1996 in Brazil.
Where were these statements come from? Were you given that information?
U.S. government.
So do you think it's the UFO report that's been that hasn't been made public yet? Do you think that's what your guy in the task force? I
could only speculate. I really don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, but it's a pretty reliable source.
James, being the careful guy he is, when I asked him, did your source in the UAP task force give you the impression that it was the UFO report that he was referencing? James is like, I really don't know. I can't speculate.
But I'll go ahead and give my analysis. I don't think the person in the UAP task force that gave this information to James was referencing the UFO report simply because there's no way the UFO report is a month or a month and a half away. So thus, it must have been referencing something else. And James went so far to say that it is referencing an announcement and that it will come from the US government and that it will give validity to crash retrievals. So that is something to look forward to as a possibility. Merrick von Rennenkampf, who has done a lot of great articles in thehill.com, dropped this tweet on November 4th, showing a container of Tic Tacs, and then he wrote, "Stay tuned with it with a thumbs up." He's teasing us, obviously. My only guess is he's referencing that new information is going to emerge on the USS Nimitz UFO event series. Merrick is a pretty serious guy, I would argue. So we'll see what happens. Please do not forget to subscribe. And if you'd like to support this channel, you can check out my merch shop where I sell t-shirts. You could become a patron. You could become a YouTube member. You could give me a one-time donation. All of those potentialities are in the description below. Or you could just slap a like on this bad boy and I will appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for watching. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. If you're still watching, to give me fulfillment, knowing you've got to this place in the video, please put in the comment box below, bright. Simply because when it comes to UAP transparency, I think we have a bright future. Ciao. Special thanks to all patrons, YouTube members, those that have bought merch, those that have given me a one-time donation. I couldn't do without you. Thank you so much. See you in the next episode.